Hello everyone, and welcome back to the studio. You're tuning in to episode 8 of Module 2 of The Blueprint for Effortless English. I'm your co-host, Ben.
And I'm Anna. Welcome back, everyone. We're getting so close to the end of Module 2, and the progress we're seeing in the community is just blowing us away. You're all doing such a fantastic job with this physical shift.
You really are. We've thrown a lot of physical mechanics at you over the last 7 episodes. We've talked about hitting the peaks with sentence stress, sliding into the valleys with the schwa, linking your words like a river with connected speech, and using the melody of intonation.
We also taught you how to use the power of the pause to command a room, how to master contractions to speed up your conversational flow, and in our last episode, we showed you how vowel length signals the meaning of your words. It's been a massive journey.
It has. And today, we're going to tackle what's probably the most physically intimidating obstacle in the entire English language. We're talking about the moments when English decides to cause a massive traffic jam in your mouth. Today's topic is consonant clusters.
Before we dive into navigating these mouth traffic jams, we've got our usual small favor to ask. If you're finding this 50-episode course helpful and you're enjoying the blueprint we're building together, please hit that like button and subscribe to the English Chatcast channel.
It really is the best way to support the show and help us reach more English learners who are struggling with their pronunciation and their confidence. Thanks for being here with us.
Now, Ben, let's start by defining exactly what a consonant cluster is, because the name sounds a little bit technical.
It's actually a very simple concept. A consonant cluster is just a group of 2, 3, or even 4 consonant sounds right next to each other in a word, with absolutely 0 vowel sounds between them.
Right. Think of the letters of the alphabet. You've got your vowels, which are A, E, I, O, and U, and you've got your consonants, which are all the other letters, B, C, D, F, G, and so on.
In a perfect, easy-to-pronounce language, every consonant would be followed by a nice, open vowel. Consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel. Ba, da, ma, ta. It's a very steady, easy rhythm.
Many languages actually follow that exact pattern. Languages like Japanese, Spanish, Portuguese, or Italian have very strict rules about how consonants and vowels can sit next to each other. They really don't like putting a bunch of heavy consonants in a row.
But English doesn't care about those rules. English loves to smash consonants together. We'll take a word like splash and throw an S, a P, and an L right at the front. Splash. 3 consonants, no breathing room.
Or we'll take a word like strengths, which is an absolute nightmare for learners. You've got an S, a T, and an R at the beginning, then a vowel, then an N, a G, a T, an H, and an S at the end. That's a 5-consonant cluster at the end if you look at the spelling, though phonetically it's a bit shorter. It still feels like a massive roadblock.
And this is exactly why consonant clusters are so difficult for non-native speakers. Your mouth simply hasn't been trained to transition from one heavy consonant position to another without taking a break and using a vowel.
Your brain panics when it sees all those consonants, and when your brain panics, it usually resorts to one of 2 very common mistakes. Let's talk about the first mistake, which is vowel insertion.
Oh, the phantom vowel. This is incredibly common. When a learner sees a cluster of consonants, their mouth physically rebels. To make the word easier to say, they secretly insert a tiny extra vowel, usually a schwa or an E sound, right in the middle of the consonants.
For example, a lot of native Spanish speakers have trouble with clusters that start with an S,
So instead of saying stop, they add a vowel to the front and say stop. Instead of school, they say school. Instead of street, they say street.
Speakers of other languages might insert the vowel between the consonants. Instead of saying blue, B-L-U-E, they might say blue. They add a little sound between the B and the L to give their tongue a rest.
Or think about a word like film, F-I-L-M. The L and the M are right next to each other. A lot of learners will say fil-um. They turn a one-syllable word into a two-syllable word.
Now, why is this a problem? If the listener can still understand the word, why does it matter if you add a tiny extra vowel?
It matters because it completely destroys the rhythm of fluency we built in episode 1. Remember, English is a stress-timed language. We have a very specific number of syllables in a sentence, and we hit the peaks and rush through the valleys.
When you start adding extra syllables to your words by inserting phantom vowels, you're adding extra beats to the song. The rhythm gets incredibly clunky and uneven. You sound like a skipping record. It immediately marks your speech as unnatural.
Exactly. You've got to be ruthless with your vowels. If there isn't a vowel written there, and there isn't a vowel in the phonetic transcription, you aren't allowed to make one. You've got to force your tongue to slide directly from the first consonant to the second.
And that brings us to the second major mistake learners make with consonant clusters. If they don't insert a vowel, they usually do the exact opposite. They just delete a consonant entirely.
This is what we call consonant deletion. The learner looks at a word like desk, D-E-S-K, and they realize the S and the K are too hard to say together, so they just drop the K. They say des.
Or they look at a word like fact, F-A-C-T. They drop the T and just say fac. It's a fac.
Now, we told you in episode 3 that native speakers sometimes drop the T or the D in fast-connected speech. We drop the T in next door, so it sounds like next door. But we only do that in very specific situations when the next word starts with a heavy consonant.
Learners tend to delete consonants everywhere, even at the end of a sentence. If you say, I sit at my best, the native speaker's brain has to pause and figure out what word you meant. It breaks comprehension.
So we can't add extra vowels and we can't delete the consonants. We have to learn how to physically navigate the traffic jam. Let's start with initial clusters. These are the clusters at the very beginning of a word.
The most common and most troublesome initial clusters usually involve the letter S. Words like stop, slow, smart, snake, space, stand.
The trick to mastering these S clusters is to treat the S like a runway. You don't try to say the whole cluster at once. You start the S sound early, and you hold it for a second to let your mouth prepare for the next consonant.
That's a great technique. Make a long, hissy snake sound. S. While you're making that sound, your mouth is already moving into position for the P or the T or the M. Stop. Smart.
You're gliding into the word instead of crashing into it. Let's practice that. Try the word screen. S-C-R-E-E-N. That's 3 consonants. S, K, and R.
Screen. 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 Notice how I don't add an E at the beginning. I don't say screen. I just start with the pure air of the S sound.
What about words that start with a stop consonant and a liquid, like P and L in play, or B and R in bring?
For these, you've got to snap the two sounds together instantly. You can't leave any gap. Your tongue has to be in position for the L or the R before you even open your lips for the P or the B.
Blue.
Blue. It's not baloo. The B and L are a single explosive event. Blue. Same thing with play. Get the tongue ready for the L, close the lips for the P, and pop them both at once. Play. Not play. Play.
It takes a lot of physical practice in front of a mirror. You've got to retrain the muscles in your jaw and your tongue to coordinate those simultaneous movements.
But the real boss battle, the part of English that makes learners want to pull their hair out, isn't the initial clusters. It's the final clusters, the consonants stacked at the end of a word.
Oh, absolutely. Final consonant clusters are brutal. And the biggest culprit, the number one source of frustration, is the regular past tense ending, the ed ending.
We have to spend some serious time on this, because getting the ed ending right's a massive milestone for your fluency.
Most learners see the ed at the end of a verb, like in the word walked, walked, and they assume that ed forms a new syllable. They pronounce it walked, 2 syllables.
They do the same thing with past, pass-ed, or washed, wash-ed. They're inserting that phantom vowel again to break up the consonants.
But here's the absolute ironclad rule for the regular past tense in English. 90% of the time, that letter E is completely silent. It doesn't exist phonetically. The past tense ending is just a single consonant sound added directly onto the end of the base verb.
And the sound you add depends entirely on what we learned in our last episode, voiced versus unvoiced consonants.
Let's break it down. Rule number 1. If the base verb ends in an unvoiced consonant sound, like P, K, F, S, or SH, you add an unvoiced T sound to make it past tense.
Let's look at the word walk. It ends in an unvoiced K sound, walk. To make it past tense, we don't add ed, we just add a T, walked.
Listen to that cluster. A K and a T smashed together. Kt. Walked. I walked to the store.
Think of the word wash. Ends in an unvoiced SH sound. Add a T. Washed. I washed the car.
How about the word stop? Ends in an unvoiced P. Add a T. Stopped. We stopped the game.
It's just a pure collision of air. P and T stopped. If you say stopped, you're ruining the rhythm.
Okay, rule number 2. If the base verb ends in a voiced consonant sound, like B, G, V, Z, M, N, L, R, or any vowel sound, you add a voiced D sound to make it past tense.
Let's take the word clean. It ends in a voiced N sound, clean. To make it past tense, we just add a D, cleaned.
Listen to that cluster. An N and a D. Cleaned. I cleaned the house.
How about the word call? Ends in a voiced L sound. Add a D. Called. I called my mom.
What about the word love? Ends in a voiced V sound. Add a D. Loved. I loved that movie.
Notice how we're stretching the vowel in those words, just like we practiced in episode 7, because they end in a voiced D. Clean becomes cleaned. The vowel gets longer.
So, for most verbs, you're just adding a T or a D, creating a consonant cluster at the end of the word. But there's one exception. Rule number 3.
This is the only time the ed ending actually creates a new syllable. If the base verb already ends in a T or D sound, you can't physically add another T or D on top of it. Your mouth can't do it.
Right. You can't say want or need. It's impossible. So only in this specific case we do pronounce the extra syllable. We add an ID sound.
Want becomes wanted. Need becomes needed. Start becomes started. Decide becomes decided.
But that's only for verbs ending in T or D. For everything else, you've got to crush those consonants together. Walked, washed, called, loved.
Let's talk about a word that perfectly illustrates this nightmare. The word asked. A-S-K-E-D.
Asked is famous. It's the ultimate tongue twister for learners. Let's look at the phonetics. The base word is ask. It ends in an S and a K, both unvoiced.
So, to make it past tense, we follow rule number 1 and add an unvoiced T. That means the word asked ends in 3 unvoiced consonants in a row. S, K, T. Asked.
Asked. I asked him a question.
So how do native speakers survive this? How do we say a word like asked in the middle of a fast conversation without breaking our teeth?
We cheat. We use the master key we gave you in episode 3. We use connected speech.
This is the absolute most important strategy for surviving final consonant clusters. You never try to say a word like asked in isolation. You always link the final consonant of the cluster to the vowel of the next word.
I asked a question.
But if you flow like a river, you take the T from the end of asked and you push it forward onto the word
So it becomes, I asked a question. I asked a question.
Suddenly, the cluster's broken up. You've got SK at the end of the first word, and the T has moved to start the next word. The traffic jam is cleared. I ask to question.
Let's do another one. I walked away. Don't try to say walked by itself. Take the T from walked and push it onto away. I walked away. I walked away.
I called him. Now remember from episode 6, in fast speech, we often drop the H in him. So him just sounds like im.
We take the D from called and push it on to the I. I called him. I called him. It's completely effortless.
If you have a final consonant cluster, your number 1 goal should be to find a vowel in the next word to link it to. It's an escape hatch for your tongue.
But what if the next word starts with a consonant? What if I say, I walked down the street? Walked ends with a T, down starts with a D. 2 heavy consonants colliding.
Then we use our elision rule from episode 3. If the cluster is too heavy and it crashes into another consonant, we just delete the last consonant of the cluster. We drop the T.
I walked down the street. We don't say walked down, we just say walk down. The native speaker knows it's past tense from the context of the story. I walked down the street.
This is why connected speech is so vital. It's not just about sounding fast, it's a physical survival mechanism for navigating clusters. If you don't link or delete, your mouth will simply freeze up.
Let's look at another type of final cluster that causes a lot of grief. Plurals and third-person verbs that end in an S or Z sound after a cluster.
Words like months, M-O-N-T-H-S. You've got an N, a TH, and an S. Months.
Or a word like clothes, C-L-O-T-H-E-S. You've got a TH and a Z sound, clothes.
How do native speakers handle these? Let's be honest, we usually cheat on these too. For a word like months, a lot of native speakers don't even bother with the TH sound. We just say months. 3 months ago.
It's true. We drop the TH completely. And for clothes, we almost never say clothes. We just pronounce it exactly like the word close, as in close the door. I need to wash my clothes.
Words like texts, T-E-X-T-S. That's a K, an S, a T, and an S. 4 consonants. K-S-T-S. Texts.
In fast speech, native speakers will often drop the T and just say Texas. I sent him 3 texts. Or we'll just reduce it to text. I got his text.
The point we're making here is that you shouldn't torture yourself trying to achieve perfect robotic articulation of every single letter in a 4-consonant cluster. Even the natives don't do it.
We want you to focus on the flow. Use connected speech to push the final consonant onto the next vowel. If that's not possible, use elision to drop the heaviest consonant and keep the river moving.
Don't add phantom vowels, and don't delete consonants randomly. Use the systematic shortcuts we're teaching you.
That brings us to our mission for episode 8. We want you to actively practice navigating these mouth traffic jams.
Your homework for this week is the consonant collision drill. I want you to make a list of 5 English words that end in a difficult consonant cluster. Choose words that you personally struggle with.
It could be asked, worked, strengths, texts, desks, tasks. Whatever words make your tongue trip up.
Next, I want you to write a short sentence for each word. But here's the catch. The word immediately following your difficult cluster word must begin with a vowel.
For example, if your word is tasks, your sentence could be, I finished my tasks early. Tasks ends in S-K-S. Early begins with an E.
But don't pause between the words. I want you to deliberately take the final consonant of the cluster and attach it to the vowel of the next word.
I finished my task searly. Task searly. Feel how pushing that final S onto the E breaks up the cluster and saves your tongue from working too hard.
Do this for all 5 of your sentences. Exaggerate the link. Record yourself doing it and listen to how fluid and natural it sounds compared to saying the words in isolation.
After you've mastered your list, come down to the comments section, share one of your sentences with us, tell us what the difficult cluster was, and show us how you linked it to the next word.
I asked the question. We want to see you actively managing the traffic in your mouth.
It's gonna feel like a serious mouth workout at first. Your facial muscles might actually get a little bit tired. That's a good sign. It means you're building new physical habits.
You're doing absolutely brilliant work. You're confronting the hardest mechanical parts of English, and you're learning the exact shortcuts we use to survive them.
In our next episode, episode 9, we're going to put everything we've learned in Module 2 to the ultimate test. We're going to do a deep dive into mimicry and shadowing.
We've mentioned shadowing several times throughout the course, but in the next episode, we're giving you the exact step-by-step framework for how to shadow a native speaker to perfect your rhythm, your stress, and your connected speech.
It's the ultimate practice routine for everything we've covered in the physical shift. It's going to be a highly practical, hands-on masterclass.
You won't want to miss it as we gear up for the finale of Module 2. But for today, focus on those clusters. Don't add vowels. Keep the river flowing. Link the final sounds to the next vowel.
I'm Anna.
And I'm Ben.
If you found our tips on consonant clusters helpful today, please be sure to like and subscribe. Keep pushing through those traffic jams. Until next time, keep practicing, keep listening, and remember, learning English with us is
A piece of cake. Thanks for listening, everyone. See you next time on the English Chatcast.